Is that okay? I'll put some tissue there. Is it okay? Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's do some ribs. Yeah. Arms on it. Okay. I've never really sprung this couch, as in the ribs, so we'll try. We'll have a go. Right. So keep your clothes on. Yeah. Top on for this one, or you can use a towel. Sometimes it's quite nice with a towel because you get a bit of friction on it. So let's put that over that sort of area. So spinous processes. Right, like so. So think about ribs now, so T1 to T12. Right, not in the lumbar, not in the cervical, so just there, in that sort of area. If you're really rounded, yeah, you'll find when you're springing, you'll feel quite stiff and it'll be uncomfortable. And you probably won't get much to go because you're stuck in flexion. So there's no point in trying because it'll be too uncomfortable. This one is going to be more for the junction point between where the rib meets the transverse process, so the costo-transverse junction. Okay, so think about the angles. Yeah, so your hand's not going to be directly on the TP, it's going to be a little bit wider. If your hands are quite close, like you were saying to me earlier, you know, can you keep close? You can direct the thrust onto the TP if you wanted to, but this one is going to be more biased towards the ribs. Okay, you know, people say coughing, sneezing, breathing. You know, when you're breathing, you're like, oh God, there's something between my shoulder, but I can't seem to. You know, oh, it's a bit sore. It's probably not the traps. It's probably not intercostal. It's probably the position of the rib. Yeah, it's more likely giving you a discomfort there. So this one is like a little springing. Think about these are like little demi-facets in here. So if you've got the transverse process and the rib, then naturally when you're breathing, you have like the bucket handle and the pump handle sort of effect of breathing. The first two and the rest of them. So we're breathing like this. So if one vertebra is, well, if one rib is stuck, you know, if let's say it's breathing, it should be doing that sort of motion. If it's stuck below, then it's obviously going to get caught, and there's a nerve that tracks around the rib, and you can feel it coming around, yeah, that sort of thing. But you can pop it just by coughing or sneezing. Yeah, you know, if you've got a bout of coughing or sneezing, hay fever, you can probably just pop your rib. Yeah, it's not true to say pop your rib, you probably just misplace it, displace it, yeah, or sublux it, yeah, that sort of thing, change the position slightly. And then the muscles then might just hold it in an incorrect position. But it might need just a little bit of a release. So just bear that in mind as well. So be careful pushing on the upper because of the neck position, and naturally in the lumbar spine. But before you do this, just rock the lumbar spine, and then you can actually palpate. You know, it's probably easier to feel through less clothes than through a towel and a t-shirt. But sometimes you can feel which ones move and which ones don't move, so you can have an idea of where it's going to move and where it's not going to move, so to speak. Yeah, so I can feel T3, 4 moving okay there. Yeah, T5 not so well, T6, so there's one stiff one in there. But also you can just use your healer hand and just start to articulate the tissues. Okay, yeah. So you can just use your healer hand, but rather than just doing that, just use the momentum. So just rock. Yeah, so you're just working with the body's momentum there. Yeah, so you can just work in through that. She's a bit stiff where my healer hand is now. Not so bad in the lumbar. But as I come up, it starts to get a little tighter, and she's tight there. Might be a bit tender just on my right hand. Working through that. Okay, so you can almost like ascertain where they are a bit stiff. Through there. And you can turn around and work the other side. You can also use, it's easy on a lady like this, use excuse my hand on the ASIS, relax, let go. On near the ASIS, and you can almost like pull the pelvis to the right, and you can counteract the push on the left, yeah? There you go, little click. And I was releasing the rib there. Okay, so you can just, there you go, a little click. So I can manipulate in that position as well. Okay, and that worked really well. I didn't quite hear it, but I felt it quite easily, and the patient agreed that was manipulation. Yeah, so you're almost like tensioning, but in a different way. Can you see that? So I can literally pull, lock, there's a tension area, and I counteract the tension, lock, and I can thrust. Oh wait, yeah, see that? I can lock. That's not normally a technique I teach, yeah, but it's something you can slowly add in. It is a manipulation, so you can't get away from the fact because you are cavitating the joint. But as you're doing it, you might find it clicking, and you're thinking, oh God, I'm not even intending to click them, but they're going anyway. And that would be okay. If I did the other side on the other side, yeah, well, you can work on the other side in this case. So now what we can do now, spinous process, hands either side. So we're going to pre-tension the tissue. Think about the softness of this is probably too deep, the depth on this one. But most of the couches, if you push the hand on a soft sponge until you feel the firmness of the wood, That would be about the depth of the pressure. Yeah. So, you know, an inch, let's say. This one's probably a bit, you know, if you're going to push back far, you probably would potentially hurt this lady. So just bear that in mind. So we're going to do a little tester one first. Alright, so the patient's going to breathe in, and as they breathe out, you're going to rotate the tissue, so you're going to tension either side of the spine. And as they breathe it out, once you've locked in, it's just a little bit of a push, and you're going to push basically towards the couch. The hands are going to be rotated, so the tissue, the tension, is going to be almost, it looks like it's opposite way, yeah, but you're going to tension it in a sort of like a clockwise direction, depending on your hand position. So watch now, okay, so take a breath, breathe out, okay, so I'm going to rotate, see that, lock, and a little bit of a spring, and that will be fine. And that's a mobilization technique. Take a breath in again, and breathe out, all the way, rotate, and that will be fine as well. There's no release on that one. You know, I could use that to do a technique, but I'm hoping that it might have clicked just by doing that technique. Breathe in again, and breathe out. It's on the out breath, you lock, and it's a little push there. Can be a little tender, this lower T-spine. Yeah, so just be a little careful. Okay, I am just going to do a little thrust technique. So, same again, breathe in, breathe out. So push, rotate, lock, thrust. Give a click. Okay, and it releases quite nice there. Take a breath. Out, rotate, lock, thrust. That's fine on that one. And I'm not pushing anymore. I don't know how much to push. Take a breath. Out, lock, lock, thrust. There's about 4 now. Yeah, you okay? I'm going to send an invoice. Yeah, for our treatment. Yeah.
Have you got something really, say like,
You want
Bernie, say for instance,
It's no good.
because he's
Yeah, I
so
won't do it.
solid,
Yeah, you won't get it.
just can't get it now.
You won't get it, yeah. Because the stiff T-spine is restricting the movement. Yeah. You know, like when you flex, it almost like holds that ribcage in a tight position. Yeah, you might get the odd one to go, but the downside is it might irritate. Yeah, you know, if you've got this sort of like relative flatness at the back, yeah, and it works quite well. Okay. Whereas if it's really kyphotic, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, for them, because as you push it, there's no give. Yeah, a flatter spine, you have some elasticity. Yeah, whereas with a thick spine, it's just really, oh my god, it's really stiff.
So would you just get the one in the back?
Well, you can do a different technique if you wanted to, because this is more for rib. Yeah, you might want to look at the T-spine first. We've done that already with the lift. Yeah, that sort of thing, and then this one for the ribs. Yeah, more so. A bit of other techniques as well, but this one I quite like this one. Yeah, you might as well do us. Yeah,
We're done.
we done as well. Yeah. All right. Feel okay?
Well.